Hey legends, Matt Moore here from One More Rep, and thank you for joining me while I talk to Jim Bull Bullard. And you guys would have seen Bull around more than once if you've been involved with the Australian OCR scene for any amount of time. He's been around since the inception of OCR in Australia, from being head marshal at Spartan. He's the Krypteia of Hurricane Heats. And you might have caught him running the 24-hour enduro last year with a huge pack and no shoes and just wondered what the hell was going on. So I thought I'd bring him on just to chat about all the war stories. He's also completed a death race. And if you don't know what a death race is, Google that, because that is absolutely crazy. And if you're watching live, guys, give me a hashtag live. If you are watching a replay, give me a hashtag replay. And if you do want to ask questions, or if you have any questions for Bull, just log into Ecamm Live in the description of this video, and that way I can see your comments and I can bring them up on screen. But here he is. Bull, how are you, mate?
Good, mate. How you going?
Really well, man. Really well. So thanks for taking the time out of your Monday and jumping on to chat with me.
Yeah, no worries, man. Sorry, couldn't get in yesterday. Things were a little bit hairy yesterday, so
no stress. And we've got David Syme, Diesel, letting us know that he's live. How are you, big fella? So if you've seen the previous videos, the previous interviews that I've been doing, Bull, basically I've got this interface that says down the bottom what's happening, and I can bring people's comments on the screen. I can also bring videos and photos and stuff on, but I believe you can't see that. I think you can just see me. So
yep,
unlucky you, but
yeah,
I will
mate. Personally, mate, I'm used to endurance, so I'll endure.
Cool. All right. So I'll let you know what people are saying. Diesel's just saying g'day, Bull.
Hey, Diesel.
And mate, we'll get straight into it. So how did you get started in OCR, Bull?
How did I get started in OCR? Holy crap. Hang on. The first thing I want to do, though, I just want to correct something you said at the beginning there. Completed a death race. I have not completed a death race.
You've entered a death race. I stand corrected.
A death race, first Australian in a death race, but we can talk about that later. But, yeah, I did not complete, just in case anybody's looking at that going, hey, no, that's a bit of bullshit. So, yeah.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, how do I start? Okay. All right, so we've got to go back a little bit in history, right back to when it all started, about, 1742, and... okay.
That's too far, too far.
Yeah. No, not quite that far back, mate. 99, I was in a car accident and was in a wheelchair for a couple of years.
Wow.
Put on a bunch of weight just because I basically couldn't move. I was in an electric wheelchair, and... so there was nothing much I could do about that. There was a lot of complications, and come around to about 2012, 2007, 8. I was getting back to walking again and stuff like that. But still, my metabolism working. It had basically shut down because I'd been sedentary for so long. Mm-hmm. And roll around to 2012, and a friend of mine was doing a challenge with an 8-week challenge with Shannon Ponton, who you may recall from Biggest Loser?
Yeah,
Team Blue. So I got involved in that. I looked at that and went, well, what have I got to lose? I might try this and see how it goes. And I was in Thailand just before starting, and I just had a bit of an epiphany while I was away. And so I started that, lost a bunch of weight. So I lost about just over 25% of my body weight at the time, because back in probably early 2012, I was just over 150 kilos.
Wow, you're a big boy. And,
yeah, mate, I think big is not quite the word. Hippopotamus is probably getting closer, So going through Shannon's thing, lost a bunch of weight, but then it was like, okay, what am I going to do? I taught myself how to run, because I I think people have probably come to the conclusion now that I don't like people teaching me how to do anything. I like to teach myself. So I taught myself how to run. And so I was doing a bunch of running and stuff on the road, but it's like, it's boring. I just went like, it's just boring. I what am I going to do with this? And then I see this thing, and it's interesting to note that before Spartan Race came to Australia, my icon on my social media was the same one that I have now, which is the Spartan helmet. Because I've always, like, right through from high school, I've always looked at, the Spartans and studied it at school and that kind of stuff. And so my icon was the Spartan helmet. Anyway, I heard about this thing called a Spartan race. And I went, I wonder what the hell that is. That sounds interesting. And because I was looking at what else I could do to run. So I entered this Spartan race in Picton in Sydney in March 2013. Now, that was back in probably about November of 2012. And so before I got to Spartan race, I went, well, I have no idea what this thing called an obstacle race is. So I knew about obstacle courses and that kind of stuff, but I didn't know what an obstacle race was. So I entered this thing called Beach Bash, which is up at somewhere up near Newcastle. I think it was up Terrigal Way, something like that. And so I entered that. It was about like late January, and that was a bit of fun. It was just literally running down the beach and then back again. And we got to the end of it where the turnaround point was, and I went, so where do I go now? And they went, now you go back. And I went, no, there's got to be more. I want more. Like, this is good, jumping over stuff and climbing stuff and climbing under stuff, and so that was good. So I get to Picton in March 2013, and I was lucky that I met up with these guys called Fit Warrior, and they were a group of 3 guys who, with Max, they were probably the very first Spartan Race OCR trainers in Sydney. I don't know if there's anybody else anywhere in Australia doing it, but I know in Sydney they were like pretty much the first ones doing OCR specific training. And
with Max DeLacy, you said?
They weren't with Max, but they were trained by Spartan, and so they'd come along and they were like the Spartan training team, if you like. These guys. And so I managed to hook up with them 2 weeks before the race, and I got a few tips on some bits and pieces, and they're actually the ones who got me onto beetroot juice, which is a superfood, and which I just discounted completely, but I religiously drank like a litre of beetroot juice a day before the race.
A litre? What colour does a litre of beetroot juice make your urine, out of interest?
It looks like I'm bleeding from the bladder.
Cool. Moving on.
And it's even worse when you then wipe your ass and go, oh my God! And then you got to remember, it's okay, it's only beetroot juice. It's only beetroot. So we get to the day of the race, and I just was sure I was going to die. I've actually got footage of, I took a camera out with me, I took some video footage and that, and I'm saying I'm going to die. I am just going to die. I know I'm going to die, but I'm okay with that. If I know I'm going to die, I'm okay. That's all right. It's just this. I don't want to not know. I just want to know I'm on. And it was the best fun. It was like, oh my God, I am running and having a ball. So it was like, it was interesting. I mean, I've done City to Surf and things like that, and it's like, oh, kill me now. It's like, the guys who do marathons and things like that and run, it's like, dudes, you are machines, because I just find it so boring. It's like, I get to the top of Heartbreak Hill on the City to Surf, and I've got to do burpees or something. So, and so I did that race, and then after my one wave, I think it's about the only race I've ever done that I only did a single wave. Did the wave, talking to Steve Willis, as some may have known as the commando on
Commander Steve.
They say Steve and I are mates, and so chatting about it, and then I went over and volunteered at the rope climb, and the volunteering was awesome. It was like, you got to give back. There was mud, people trying to climb ropes out of mud. It was freaking awesome. And, met Kylie Harwood, who's
Paul Harwood's wife.
Paul Harwood's wife, yes.
Yep.
She was the queen of volleys.
Mm-hmm.
And the volunteer tent was actually just to the other side of the rope climb. And all she said to me, all she could hear all afternoon was this guy bellowing at at people on the rope and supporting them to get up the rope and showing them techniques and was clean when I started. I certainly wasn't clean when I finished that volley period. And I think that was really the catalyst for it. And
awesome.
So I guess since March 13, I've missed 5 events, 6 now if you count last weekend.
Wow. Yeah. So you're an instant convert, and I think a lot of people can probably relate to that feeling of doing their first race and thinking they're going to die, and then immediately going, where can I do more of this? which is a strange two things to be feeling at the same time.
I remember the first water crossing I got to in Picton. We'd just done the balance beams, and I'm running up to the balance beam. I'm on tape going, I'm running along going, yeah, this will be my first burpees. I'm talking to people, yeah, this is going to be burpees. And I bounced straight across it, and I was like, oh my God, ran down the hill, straight down to the dam, and literally, you've got the big signs now, don't jump in the dam.
Yeah.
Make sure you enter carefully, blah, blah, blah. Oh, hell no. It was, all these ants were going down the left-hand side, down this path, and I just went down the right, straight down to the end, big woohoo, into the water. It was like...
Full send.
It's like, yeah. And I think the maniac started for that first race, so, yeah.
Awesome. And I've got a couple of comments. Dana Binks watching live. He said, great time to join. I think he commented right after you were talking about the beetroot juice. And we've got Dave Stewart. Hey, Bull.
Oh, Dave, how you doing?
Big Adrian Mannix. Have you met Adrian, Bull?
I don't think so. The name rings a bell.
Good bloke.
And this thing doesn't work real well anymore. So
good bloke. He's running the Hurt 100 over in Hawaii. He's had a few cracks at it. He's having another crack. I was chatting to him on Saturday at Melbourne.
Nice.
Guy. We've got Funda saying live.
How you doing, girl?
She said, Bull, you're an amazing person inside and out. Something that a lot of people will mirror that sentiment. And Ben Greig said, if you haven't been yelled at by Bull, you haven't had a great race. So.
Yeah, well, there is that too.
Or a great hurricane heat.
It's not all about yelling,
Do you yell? Do you yell in general, just in your life, or is it just a race thing?
There are times when I yell in general, yes. But, it's more about, I think, I find that people, especially in a Spartan race, they need some volume to get their blood flowing, and that's a big thing. And they, I don't know what it is. It's just like, we're not really quiet about this because it's not a quiet sport. It's not it's not like, it's not like anything else really.
Yeah.
So if you hear someone giving a war cry, or you hear someone actually, yelling out there, you get that shiver up your spine. You go, well, something's happening somewhere. I want to be part of that.
Makes your blood curdle, and that's exactly what it is. It's a war cry. It's the fucking haka before you go into war. It's it's to amp yourself up for this crazy stuff that you've just paid money to do.
I've got to say, the Diesel amps people up really well before getting in there on that race.
Diesel.
Yeah. I love his pep talks and that before people start a race now.
He was on the
awesome job there, Diesel.
Yeah, he was on the mic in Melbourne with the full regalia on and doing a fantastic job. So awesome. And Kimberly's just let me know she's live. Alan Foster live. G'day, Matt and Bull. And Alan took out his age cat down in Melbourne over the weekend.
Yeah, nice. I did see that. It's good.
He can run. So let's continue the trend of of the yelling, and talk about Krypteia. Talk about the hurricane heat. You've been a fixture in the hurricane heats for people who don't know what a hurricane heat is, and I've done a couple now. I only started them this year. Instantly hooked. Instantly, I see the value of it. If people don't know what a hurricane heat is, can you summarise it for us, Paul?
Okay, all right. So the history of the hurricane heat, back when I'm not sure of the actual hurricane that was happening in Florida at the time, but there was a Spartan event supposed to happen down in Florida, and Joe DeSena, who's the CEO of Spartan International, he's the guy that started it all, he was advised that now they couldn't hold the race because of the hurricane. And he basically put a call out and said, okay, we can't hold the race, but what we can do, we're gonna just bunch of people meet up at the grounds, and we're going to do something else, and it'll be awesome, because Spartans aren't affected by a mere, act of weather or something like that. But, we don't care about that. So, we're going to crack on. And so they did this thing, and they called it the hurricane heat because it was actually born out of the hurricane. And so the hurricane heat generally will follow parts of the course. It can be used, say, at the beginning or the end of a race, like on the day before or day after, to help clean up or set up. So quite often you're looking at having to carry some sandbags, move heavy objects, pull things up, pull things down, carry cargo nets, get confused, sometimes purposely. So it's basically you've got the 4-hour, the 12-hour, and the H3X. So
which is the 24.
Yep. So the 4-hour is basically it has evolved. The 4-hour has evolved into a purely team-based activity. So it doesn't matter really, so long as you can actually, if you can do a sprint, and I'm not talking do a sprint in world record time. I'm saying you can get out and actually just do a sprint.
Yep.
Get over some obstacles, have a moderate level of fitness. You can do a hurricane heat, a 4-hour. You can do the hurricane. Because I've had people in hurricane heats who have been injured, people who got injured during the hurricane heat, people have been injured beforehand, people, have no idea what they're doing. And it's about the team getting the storm chasers through. So you enter a hurricane heat, you are now a storm chaser.
Yeah.
Okay. So it is about getting the storm chasers all through. So it doesn't matter whether you can or can't, climb an 8-foot wall, whether you can do the hurricane, whether you can pull up the Hercules hoist, whether you can pick up an Atlas stone. That's beside the point, because it's all about team based. So it's the team gets you through.
So the fitter members will generally do a little bit more work than, say, the unfit members, so that the unit succeeds in their tasks.
Exactly. So, and it's all about actually succeeding in those tasks and the 4-warrior ethos.
Well,
so
what's the ethos, just to cut in there?
So the ethos is, I'll always place the mission first. I will never quit. I will never leave a fallen comrade. Is the 4th one, and
I'll never accept defeat.
I'll never accept defeat. Yeah.
What do they mean?
Well, they mean that, okay, so I'll always place the mission first. So whatever task you've been given, I've got to get that done regardless of whatever problems I've got happening. So it's looking about taking that into your personal life. So it's not just, on race day I'm actually like that. It's taking your personal life. So my mission is, at the moment, my mission is to clean up this cabin I'm living in. It's like stuff everywhere, which is really nicely blurred out there, because I'm a little bit of a genius with some tech. I think it looks fancy,
mate. Yeah. I want you to teach me how to do it.
Yeah, okay, mate. We'll talk after this. Young Padawan. So I always place the mission first. So what you've got to get done, getting that done. Just getting up, getting it done, get it sorted. I'll never accept defeat. So basically, I'm going to crack on until it gets done. I'm not going to just stop. If I fail to achieve my mission, if I fail to achieve it from outside or from whatever, I'm not going to actually accept that defeat. I'm then going to strive to do it again. So it may not be this time I can finish it, but it's going to be next time. And that's when I talk to people about if they fail to achieve a goal at a Spartan race, for instance, that they get DNF, they don't finish, they get injured or whatever. It's about not accepting defeat and being able to say, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to get another crack.
Yep.
I will never quit. Basically, if you can still walk, if you can still crawl, if you can still move forward, you keep going.
Yep.
That's it. And that's basically what it's about. I won't quit. I might get pulled, I might get cut, time hacked, whatever. I'm just not going to quit.
Yeah.
And obviously, I'll never leave a fallen comrade. So it's, you got somebody, you don't leave people behind. And that's a thing. And I think that's actually been really good. Really big thing about that is when I've been sweeper, whenever I do sweeper for the Spartan race, is bringing those last couple of people in.
So sweeping meaning you're the last person to do a lap and grab the tape and stuff like that.
You're actually closing the course down. You're making sure nobody's been left out on course.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's laying in a ditch dying or something like that. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But bringing those last few people, and sometimes those last few people are just hurting really badly. They have been out there they've been out there for a long time, and it's like they just want to quit. And it's like, no, hell no, we're not going to leave you behind. We're going to finish, and we're going to finish strong.
Yeah.
So that's what it's about.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And
yeah,
I've often got more respect for those guys who are out there doing a fucking 10-hour beast rather than the elite guys who are doing it in 2.5 hours. So I sometimes have more respect for the guys who are out there for 10 hours just absolutely killing themselves to get it done. Like the highest respect for the people who just are that resilient that they can just stay out there. It's it's an amazing trait.
Learning to be able to do that, and that's hard, but it's a skill nonetheless.
Oh, 100%. That's going to carry across to everything you do in life. It's a huge thing that I think a lot of people don't take any time to build now. Like there's nothing quite like obstacle racing for in the real world. We go through life covered by padding and everything's getting a bit soft. Whereas you go out on a course, you sign that fucking waiver, you could die. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You could, and that's the thing is you just don't know what's going to come. So that's the thing. So that's the 4 hour. So the 4 hour, you've got the ethos, and it's all team based. You start as a team, you continue as a team, you finish as a team. Mm-hmm. Then we go on to the 12 hour. So the 12 hour, we usually start with some of that team based stuff and getting people sort of relying on each other and that. And you've got things like you've got mandatory equipment you've got to carry in the 12 hour. You've usually got a large pack. Or a medium-sized pack, so you've got some essential gear in there, you've got extra food, water. The sort of stuff that you really don't need in a 4 hour, you can get by with just a hydration pack. Mm-hmm. The 12 hour, you've got to carry a spare set of clothes, some waterproof, some dry bags, batteries for your torch, because you are not going to be 12 hours during the day. It's going to be 12 hours. And it's always 12 hours at night because that's when all the doubts and fears come out in the human beings. So that's one of the reasons why you do it.
Yeah, that's when you see shadows in the dark, and we're supposed to be warm and safe and asleep, and that's when you're going to get in your head the most. Anyone who's run a 24-hour race, those 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. is the absolute worst time to be out on course.
Absolutely. So that you'll go through some individual stuff, but then there will be a lot of the team-based stuff. But then you'll go into a lot of individual stuff. Mm-hmm. So there'll be time hacks. There'll be, if you don't meet a certain requirement, you could be cut from the course. Every hurricane heat is slightly different. You've got periods of time where you might be able to actually, if you win at something, you may actually get some extra points that you can use later on to buy yourself out of a problem.
Yeah.
And then sometimes, if you're the first person back, that's the worst thing, because you're the first person back, and you've got to hold a squat hold or a plank or whatever for half an hour while everybody else gets back. So it's looking at it and trying to strategize a little bit, but being resilient and accepting whatever gets thrown at you.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be shit thrown at you that comes out of left field, and you're going to go, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You want me to carry that all the way up that fucking mountain? Are you joking?
Yeah.
Or it's you'll get, hey, dudes, I need you to fold this net like this, and people start doing the right thing, and then another Krypteia will come along and go, what are you doing there? Don't go and do that. Go and do this. Oh, but he said, I don't care what he said. Go and do that. And then the other person will come back and go, what are you people doing over there? And it's it's confusing. It's like you're getting conflicting stuff. You want to see how your mental resilience is.
And how much of that is just you guys having a bit of fun hazing? I've always sort of taken it to be learning to deal with things that aren't in your control, which is something that a lot of people don't like doing, and being able to just cop shit as it gets given to you. Some things you can control in life, but some things you just can't, and sometimes you just got to take your medicine. How much of that is you guys, how much of that is by design?
Okay, so everything is by design.
Okay.
Everything's by design. Occasionally things won't go quite to plan with how we're doing things, and we've got to change things on the fly, but there is no beasting of someone just because you want to beast them.
Okay.
Just because, hey, I want to show you how much of a big man I am, and I'm going to make you do 3,000 burpees and go. It's not about that at all. It is all about learning. It's learning. It's all by design. Everything has a training outcome. Everything is locked into an operational requirement. Okay, so our operational requirement is we've got to get this log up the hill. Why? Not because we just want to get it up the hill and fuck you around and then make you push it back down again, but we need to get it up the hill because we've got to cut it up to make firewood.
Yeah.
To leave up the top for the campers.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So that's what our task is. So that's our mission. Our mission is to get that log up there.
Yeah.
It's not our mission is to get that log up there because we want you to carry a heavy thing and I don't care what the reason is. There's always a reason behind it.
Yeah.
We may not tell you the reason straight away. We may not tell you the reason at all, but it's always a reason for it.
Yeah.
It's none of this, I want you to carry that extra rock because I think you should carry that extra rock.
Yeah.
That's just the stuff that happens in death race, not in hurricane.
Yeah, that's where they're just trying to break you.
Yeah.
I don't know. And for people who haven't done it, it's not just crazy physical tasks either. I did a 12-hour hurricane over in Hawaii, and our warm-up was like, sandbag, there's a huge hill, you're going to run up and do laps, and you're going to come down, and every time you come down you're going to do a burpee, and you've got basically an hour to do as many of them as you can, and we're not going to tell you how many you have to do to pass. So for an hour, that was our fucking warm-up. But then there were other tasks, like there was one where we had to put a blindfold on, and there was no sound, and we just had to count to 15 minutes in our head, and when we thought it had been 15 minutes, we had to drop into a plank. And then there was another one, we were told to put a bar of soap on our gear list, and we were told to carve a turtle out of the bar of soap. But then we had to balance it on top of a stick and hold it for 15 minutes. So it's not just physical challenges, it's mental challenges, and it is often confusing things, as you've said. There's sort of that bit of a hazing process, which is testing that mental mental resilience of making you get to the point where you go, fuck this. So what's
just the mental resilience, but that mental acuity that you can actually operate under stress, and you can if you have the opportunities to operate under stress. It's a learnable trait. You can actually learn to operate better under stress if you operate under stress. So it's just like if I do 100, buddy, I don't know, if I do 100 heaves every day, I'm going to get better at them. I'm going to be able to do 1,000 every day because I've done. Well, it's no different with the mind and with the psyche. You can actually train yourself to do that.
100%. What's the best challenges you can remember, as far as maybe the hardest physical challenges? What's some of maybe the funniest you've seen, and what's some of just the completely out there?
I think actually one of the hardest was one of the funniest as well. Was the first 12-hour hurricane heat in Australia in Geelong.
Okay.
And we were down at the near the water, near the ocean.
Yeah.
And there was this hill that was like this. It was huge, steep. It was like it was grass, and it was like, oh my god, so steep. It'd be something you do like 5 laps up it to do a training session, and that'd be it.
Yeah.
Like, that's how steep it was, and it wasn't all that high. And we had all of the storm chasers bear crawling backwards up that hill.
Oh,
it was rough. It was at about 2 a.m. So it was a bit slippery with dew.
Oh.
And it was, they didn't have their packs on, but they were backwards bear crawling all the way up this hill to the roadway at the top, and then go back down and start again. And it was one of the funniest, because there was guys forward rolling back down the hill because you'd slip and you'd just roll down the hill, and it was like it was funny, but it was also one of the hardest because there was people. I remember one guy in particular who and you've got to remember, with a hurricane heat, very rarely do you get your bib taken. So your bib is what keeps you in.
Yeah.
This one guy, it's all about you actually quitting, basically. Yeah. And so this one guy, I don't recall who it was, and I was just on him, and on him, and on him, and on him, and on him. And it's like he would keep on, he'd bear crawl up, and I was on him, keep his knees up, get your knees up, and it's all about that level of, it's not even shouting. I have this conversational voice.
Yeah.
There was no shouting there, but it was on him and on him and on him. Keep your knees up.
You were just riding him a bit.
Keep your knees up, get your knees up, keep going, and then he'd slip and he'd slide further back down the hill, and he'd go, keep your knees up, keep your knees up, keep your knees up. Next time your knees hit the ground, I'm taking your bib. Next time your knees hit the ground, I'm going to take your bib. Next time your knees hit the ground, and they'd hit the ground again, and it got to a point, he was about 4 foot from putting his foot on the brick wall, and he slipped again. And he just lay there and just pulled his bib off. Here we go. He pulled his bib off. Here's a bib. He just pulled his bib off and just gave it to me. And I said, "Are you sure? Are you sure you're quitting? You're pulling the pin?" And he said, "I'm done." He said, "I'm just done. I'm done." You know. And then literally, so he said, "I'm done." And I said, "Okay, go back down the hill." He stood up. And they said, "Right, everybody back down the hill, let's go, packs on." It's too late, dude. You've actually just pulled the pin literally seconds before. So you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I will never quit. So, and he just went, no, it was too much for me on the day. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, as soon as he's pulled the pin, it's like, right, you're no longer into him. It's like about, okay, so what happened? Tell me what happened. You're done. You can't get back in. You can't buy your way back in. So what happened? How did that happen? How did that feel?
Yeah.
It felt bad. It's like, okay, but it's not the worst thing. I mean, I've had people bawling, grown men and women bawling their eyes out on my shoulder, just absolutely hysterical because they've actually not been able to finish.
Yeah.
And it's having to try and build that person up again.
Yeah.
Because you don't leave, they're now a fallen comrade. And we don't leave them behind. We've got to build them back up. So you go, okay, next time you're going to be more resilient. You're going to be able to do this.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing about that whole resilience process is you may fail, but the only way you can really fail is if you don't get back up again. If you never get back up. So you get back up, you come back out, and you do it the next time. You haven't failed, even if you DNF every single time. As long as you keep going back, you haven't failed.
Yeah.
You're just a DNF.
You're learning. You're failing forward, as they say.
Yeah. And we don't learn until we actually fail.
Yeah, I agree. You don't know where your limits are until you find something you can't do.
exactly. My first DNF, my very first DNF, which was in Vermont, in Killington, that taught me so much. It took about 6 months for me to learn the lesson, for it to come out and stop being such a big girl's blouse. And oh my God, I was just like so frustrated and felt so bad for so long.
Yeah.
And but then I finally learnt the lesson. I went, holy shit, there's the lesson.
Yeah.
And that was, I think, the key point when I just realised you've got to actually have someone there to say, hey, dude, do you understand what the lesson was?
Yep.
Because a lot of times you just can't see it. You can't see the trees for the forest. So, hey, dude, what was the lesson here? The lesson was, I was prepared. Some days it's just not your day.
Yeah. And it's hard. It's hard when because there's always going to be an emotional component too. If you're like that was an ultra at Killington. I think I've heard that story that you've told me. And if you're out on a course for 8 hours or whatever it was, 10 hours before you pulled the pin, pushing as hard as you can, and then you get to the point where you've missed that mark. There's a lot of emotion that's going to be associated with that. You see people when they come across finish lines, they break down in tears, and they're the ones who win the race, let alone the ones who DNF.
Yeah.
And it's hard to process the logical lessons when there's emotional pain. I guess sometimes when it's a wound, you can't really see past that.
Absolutely, and that's why you've got to just be able to. I mean, look, people see photos of me hugging people at the finish line. Or in transition, or somewhere. There's been, in timing, in the timing tent, in different places, just going, you need a hug.
Yep.
There's so much good energy that can come from that, and a lot of times you can't say anything. You cannot say anything. I've had a conversation with Alex Burns when he first came back, and he had an issue at Bride, and it was like. Tried to have the conversation after, and it was like, no, I'm pulling the pin on. I'm pulling the pin on that race because I did the wrong thing. It was like the emotional charge, and it's like, that's fine, you've done that, but you're going to come back and you're going to do better.
Yeah.
And it's being able to support them in that and show them that you're not a failure. There's an error in judgment, or there's something that happened, which is now beyond your control because you've made the error so far back, or you've whatever has happened, and hey, that was out of your control now. No one can't fix it. So you know what? You're going to have to learn from it. What did you learn from it? I learnt. If you're doing a fetch boy fetch, I learn I've got to make sure I hold on to my tag and put it somewhere in my...
I put it in my underpants.
I'm not even going there.
In fairness, sometimes I'm only wearing underpants though.
Yeah, well, it is pants off Monday, so...
Yep.
Yeah. But it's whatever it is, it's being able to actually then support those people, because there's nothing worse than hearing that, you fucked that up, so you just have to try harder next time. Yeah. It's like sometimes there's a bit more of an emotional component to it, to say, hey, and maybe that's got a bit to do with the fact that we are a softer society now. Yeah. But I think it's quite good to be able to come out and say, you know what, this is what I think you could do, or not even say anything about it, just support them and just say, hey, we're here for you. We know you can come back. We know you can do it. So, crack on.
Yeah, and I've seen that with clients that have made little errors here and there, a bad shoe choice or a bad nutrition choice, and often it's something that you should know better, but you make a bad choice on the day, and right at the end when the DNF happens, it's they don't want to hear that they made a mistake. They just want a hug. They just want a bit of support, and usually it's me saying, how about we jump on a call in a couple of days and we'll sort of analyse what went wrong, so we don't make the mistake again. And you mentioned Alex Burns. It was his birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, Alex.
I know, Alex.
He's a gentleman.
He's out there, but I hoping to get down for it, but I wasn't down for this weekend. So yeah.
Yeah, he's a legend, mate. And what you've just touched on there with the the hugs on the finish lines, this sort of touches on Matty Probe's question. He said he wouldn't be able to listen, but he'd watch the replay, and he said he wanted to say he remembers this year seeing Jim support those who didn't get through the ultra cutoff, and he said it's great to see somebody there who celebrates highs but also supports those people who may be injured or disappointed when they don't achieve their goals. And I know a couple of my clients issued the same sentiments. I know Funda said you gave her a nice long hug after she tragically went the wrong way during the ultra and missed the time.
Well, she got it both at the multi rig and at the finish line. So yeah, so she get a double banger.
Double dipping, cool. And and your dog has been a feature on the finish line, Miss Kamala. Has cheered up many races.
Oh yeah, she has. There's a great photo of her with Mon Hendy from I think it was last year's race. Yeah, just Kamala at the finish line with Mon, and that was it. Just leave them alone and let them crack on. I think the dog, Miss Kamala has got such empathy for people, and has always been a great source of comfort to those who don't want a human around. It's like you get people who just say, "Hey, fuck off, go away, don't talk to me, don't come near me," But you get a dog in your face, and it's like, "Oh, come here, I'm gonna hug you," because a dog just has unconditional loyalty.
And they're fucking smart, man. They've had millions of years evolving with us being, in this symbiotic relationship. And dogs are smart. Dogs are emotionally intelligent. They can tell when you're angry before you say anything. They can tell when you're upset. They're good to be around. And the other half of Matty's question, he said, his question to you is why do you think, or what do you think gets people seeking Spartan? What is it about the Hurricane Heats and the Ultras and the death races? Why is it that people keep signing up when they know it's going to put their bodies through physical pain? What makes people chase finish lines and medals and t-shirts?
Okay, so let's touch first on the medals and the t-shirts. A lot of people are looking for that. They're looking for the bling.
Social status.
I've actually said to people, and I've looked at running some activities where if there was absolutely no bling, there was no social media, there was no recognition apart from just some hard work, and then you go away and you never talk about it. Like Fight Club. What's the first rule of Fight Club?
I think you just broke it.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. So I'm all about breaking the rules.
Yeah.
Rules are meant to be broken.
Yeah.
So the whole thing about that is that some people want that that recognition. It's that recognition they can put up on a shelf and say, oh, "This is what I did." It's that physical thing. There are a lot of other people who go, "I don't actually want the recognition. What does that mean for me?" It's it's more about the physical connection and the mental connection they have with people and their body on the course that really hits it off for them. So it's a very interesting question, and I think that a lot of it is about people want to be able to see, especially in this now that we're a softer society, generally speaking, that they want to see what their limits actually are. So it's not about punishing themselves, but they want to see how far they can actually go. And that I see that a lot when I get people who are constantly looking at their times. Oh, this was a better time this race than last race or whatever. But my response to that is always every single course is different. And it's not like running the 400 metres on a track. It's the only thing that may be different is, yes, we'll open the stadium gates to allow you a bit of a tailwind when you go down the straight. Or the javelin where you throw and they open the gates to allow a tailwind to help the javelin actually fly a little bit further or whatever. There's not a lot of variables. It's just you against that thing. But the Spartan races specifically are the course is different. And even if you do the same course at different times of the day, it's going to be different. So you can do exactly the same, let's say a sprint in Picton, and you can do it in 1 year, and then the next year you come back and you go slower. And you say, oh, why? Because you don't know how things, whether obstacles have been put, exactly how long it is, fatigue on the day, the weather, how you are actually feeling. So there's a lot of different variables. So when people say, oh, yeah, they're looking at times and they're chasing those times, I'd rather look at it and go, how good am I going compared to somebody else?
Yeah.
That's what they also want to do. It's that competitive edge. They want to see where they're coming in that. So it's that they're pushing themselves to see where their limits are. And then for the people who go to the Hurricane Heats and beyond that, they're looking for the more extreme limits. They're looking at, okay, so that little 5K run, that five, not little necessarily, but that 5K run I did on the road or whatever, I'm now bored with that. It's like, there's nothing to it. So what am I going to do now? So that Spartan race I just did. All right, I've just done a trifecta. Great. That was great, but what's next? There's got to be something bigger. So a lot of times people are looking for that next step up and that next step up and that next step up, which is why we have the different deltas and the different rank structure through all of the different races.
Yeah.
So, so I think that's the big thing that gets people coming back is that I want to see how much I can go. And whether they're chasing bling, and there's nothing wrong with that, but whether they're chasing bling or whether they're chasing another T-shirt because they don't like actually going out and buying their own clothes, so they want to have someone giving them those clothes, or they, trust me, I think I have about 47 million sets of Spartan finisher shirts up in my roof at the moment. So I cleared them a lot of them out of the cabin. And it's like, I'm going to keep only one from each event, one from each different event and year and all that. And I've still got so many, it's not funny. So, but it's definitely that coming back. But also a lot of people come back too just for the camaraderie. It's that being able to go out on course, have fun, you're extending yourself. You're actually doing something that is good for you, but you're around a group of the same sort of people. It's like, if you want to actually run with someone who's running with a baby, hey, just find Chelsea Hughes and away you go. And some crazy buddy photo montage, and you can look at that and just go, that's insane. And then people go, yeah, but that's just Chelsea. Who takes a baby on course? Chelsea does. So, it's there is something in that.
Yeah.
But, and it's also, it's always going to be different. So, as I said, unlike a track meet, you know what the parameters are. It's always the same. Your 400 metres is your 400 metres. Whether you're on, are you on grass? Are you on a composite surface? Are you on asphalt? There's some variables for you. Whereas you get to a Spartan race and it's still only a 5K, or a 14K or a beast or whatever, but there's always going to be something different, something new that comes along. And even when it's not a new obstacle, it's like suddenly we've got, upper body smash alley where you've got Hercules hoist to Atlas stones to rings to rope climb to Hercules hoist to all this stuff just smashes your upper body and you go, oh my God, how am I going to get through this?
Yeah.
And then you sort of get to the end of doing those like 7 or 8 obstacles, and it's like, well, you've got T-Rex arms. It's like I can't actually put anything in my mouth anymore because my arms just don't work.
Biceps are cramping
this morning. That was me this morning. I had T-Rex arms. They're survived a little bit now. They're recuperated a bit now, but that's another story.
Yeah. So it's pushing limits. It's finding what you're capable of, and I know I'm addicted to it. You are obviously addicted to it as well. Is that why you do it, just to see sort of what you're capable of? Is that why you keep just pushing the envelope?
I do it for a lot of different reasons now. I mean, and let's be frank, I haven't run an actual race in Australia since late 2017. So I've done I've done a couple of laps, or I've done some, the sweeping and things like that. But with the officiating, when it's sort of like we got the rules and we've got had the marshals running, and that it was like somebody needs to step up and actually police the rules and that. So that's where I took that mantle on. So really haven't run a proper race since that race in APAC series in Perth.
Yep.
But I still do this stuff because it's different. I want different challenges, and it's like when I started carrying a pack. It's like, okay, well, I know I can do all the different obstacles, and I know I can actually run it and all that. But let's take it to another level. Let's do something different. Hey, let's go a lot slower because I'm carrying a 35 kilo pack, but let's go slow, have a look at it, and go out there with people and just and talk to people.
Yep.
And while I'm doing it, I'm doing my own training because I've always done my own training. It's occasionally there's a few people that I've trained with. I've trained with yourself. I've trained with Chief and M, Original Boot Camp. I've done a bunch of different things in smally stuff, but mainly it's my own thing that I just go and make up shit and go and do crazy shit.
Well, talking about training with me, and I'm sure we've all seen you do a crazy thing or two. I've run the Sand Dunes boot camps over at Cronulla, and you turned up one day with like a chest strap that went to like a strap behind you that was chained to your log.
My pet log. Yes.
And there was something else that was chained as well.
There was a pet log. I think there was also a tyre, wasn't there?
It was a tyre, that's right.
So
you basically had this strap chained to a log, chained to a tyre, that you're just running up the sand. Well, not running because the shit was heavy, but just driving yourself up the sand dune, carrying this stuff, and everyone else who's turned up for a workout that morning is just going, who the fuck is this guy? So
I think that's what I aim for. Is I aim for people to just go, what the actual fuck?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, well, we're just taking it next level.
Yeah. And that's touches on another question that Shannon Daly asked on my on my Instagram when I said I was doing this. He said, what makes you do events in sandals? What's the is that the same thing? Is it just throwing a spanner in the works to see how your body adapts? Or
okay, well, the sandals, yes, it is a little bit of that. When I did Death Race in 2015, the very first thing that happened, well, the very first thing, 9 o'clock, wasn't the first thing that actually happened because the race sort of started at about like 2 in the morning, but it didn't start till 9 or 10. But we did all this other stuff before it started, but it hadn't actually started, but you had to do it anyway.
Yeah.
And we actually lost a few people before we even actually started the race.
Yeah.
But the crux of it was all 160 of you take all your clothes off, take your shoes and socks off, put them into your packs, leave your jocks on, grab a couple of small mandatory items, seal your packs up and leave them, and let's go running over the Bloodroot Mountains. So we ran over the Bloodroot Mountains in Pittsfield, Vermont, which was about, I think, my Garmin had it about 34 mile over the mountains, and had never trained barefoot before. Not since I was a kid with my granddad going through the Royal National Park back when the late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah.
That's 1960s and 1970s. So, and doing some just walking barefoot in the bush.
Yeah.
But since then, it's like I hadn't done it, and we actually did this running over the mountains, up the trails, through rivers, rocks, mangrove, swampy areas, all that, and barefoot. And it was like,
I reckon that would have killed you if you weren't conditioned for it.
Well, nobody was. There was not a single person out of the 160 who had any inkling that was coming. And thank you, Johnny Waite. Love that man, Johnny Waite from Canada, who's recently came out to the Bright weekend. Was down there.
He hyped us up for the Hurricane Heat.
That's it. Yes, and I've got that on video. So that's the guy who started me on the barefoot running, and then doing the more research into why barefoot running and that, and evolved to the lunar sandals.
Mm-hmm. And
lunar sandals have been around with Survival Run, Nicaragua, and the barefoot runners of Nicaragua, and that for a while. And so I sort of found these sandals and I got a pair, started running in those. I'm now on pair number 4, and literally just today, brand new lunar sandals. Beautiful. These are my new running sandals, these ones.
They're your good Havaianas.
Yeah, not quite Havaianas, they're lunar. And,
I've actually, because I've had a few problems with my feet this year, and sort of looked into the barefoot sort of movement and getting your feet to behave like feet again. And I've just bought my first pair of Vibram 5 fingers. Maxi from Barefoot Inc. hooked me up, and mate, I love them. For first week or two, my feet were sort of a little bit sore in places that they wouldn't normally be sore, and I think that's very promising.
The big thing with any barefoot running, and actually barefoot runners, the real barefoot runners say don't go in 5 fingers, just go barefoot. But it's making sure you go slow, because the problem is that for so long, once you put your feet into a shoe, your foot goes to sleep. All these bones and muscles and that work inside your foot and all the way up through your legs, which is the whole suspension system for the body, and put your feet into a shoe, and all that stops working.
Yeah.
Really, there's actually class actions out there against Nike, because the first runner's shoe was Nike, and they have class actions with people who have got runner's injury. We never had runner's injuries until Nike brought out their shoes. Yeah,
because that's when you can start to like overstride and heel strike, because all of a sudden you've got this big padding on your heel. And I've noticed with even the Vibrams or barefoot, if I just do a little treadmill run, you can't heel strike because it fucking hurts. You've got to like forefoot and have a short stride and a high cadence, because you fucking can't run any other way.
Absolutely, and that's a big thing. So it's like I've done a lot of barefoot runs, through the bush. I think I've actually had shown some video of that, of when I've run through
20 hours.
Prickly pear, and had prickly pear spine stuck in my feet, and it's taken me like weeks to get them out. But you don't run over prickly pear because you want to show how tough you are. You run over it because you're an idiot, because you weren't actually having a look at where you were going. And I've been that idiot. And but it's all about getting that proprioception back in your feet, and going it slow, because if you read, there's a really good book, I'm just trying to think, Barefoot Ken Bob wrote the book called Barefoot Running Step by Step.
Okay.
And he's pretty much the father of modern day barefoot running, in that he shows you how, because he's always done it, how to do it properly, how to start doing it, not just getting out there and starting to barefoot run. He's more about, you need to go slowly, because you start doing it straight away. You start running, I want to go and run 5Ks, fast, hard, in bare feet, and you'll do something, you'll pull.
Yeah, 100%.
Quads, calves, whatever, because, but you just got to get back into it. And, and it's great,
And I think that's a principle that applies to pretty much anything you're doing with fitness. If you go from 0 to 100, you're probably going to blow something up. Even with running shoes, if you go from running no Ks to running 100 Ks a week, you're going to have some fucking issues pretty quickly, I reckon. And I've got a photo here that I've just brought up on the screen. One of the photos you sent me of the death race, and it's you standing with your stick, looking up, smiling like an absolute maniac, while everyone else looks like they're suffering mightily. Mate, so this was
your jocks.
So this was your death race in 2015.
Yep. Okay, so Death Race 2015 was, at that point, that was the last Death Race. That was Death Race The End.
Okay.
The theme of Death Race The End was life. It was life to death. So it was life. So all the way through from being born, all the way through to death, and all the steps that entailed. So that photo, you've actually got that up on the screen or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that photo is just before we actually started, and we were all in this river in Pittsfield, Vermont, up in Bloodroot, the base of Bloodroot Mountain, and there was 160 of us, and our mission given to us by Johnny Waite was to raise the water level of the river, to block the river and to raise the level of the river.
And I've just swapped to the other photo, which I used as the promo photo for this, which is you in the river, gasping, and
so that one was actually after it started, and that was after we'd had to get out of our clothes, seal our pack sail. We had to take we had to carry our hydration vests, our life vest. What else do we have to carry? 100 foot of rope, and our sleeping bag. So we had to carry those. What we had to do, we had to actually get all of that stuff into our sleeping bag, including us, jump into the river, and be born out of the sleeping bag like coming out of the womb.
Wow.
Be born back out. So you had to submerge completely in the river,
That's
and then
mental.
you were born, and then that was birth.
Yeah.
And so you were born, and then we climbed out of the river, and it was not warm.
Because it's July.
Vermont. Vermont in July is like, it was cold.
Yeah.
And we had to jump in there, came out of that, climbed up out of the river, and then it was, what do we do now? And it was just run fast, run. Because
Right.
we were in feet and all that. It was like, okay, so I had all my stuff in my soaked sleeping bag over my shoulder, and I'm just sprinting up this mountain.
Yeah.
And that was the start of. That was just the start of Death Race. That was.
And explain Death Race if people don't know what it is. Is it the same sort of format for 2020 as it was for 2015?
Oh no! Every single year, every single event is different. The format is different. It usually has a theme. There's been Death Races that the theme's been the year of the gambler or the year of the prospector, and so there's been a different theme, and they work it around it. There's one thing you need to know about Death Race. So the only thing you really need to know about Death Race, and this is what you'll be told by the staff, even before it starts: quit.
They're just going to try and break you.
Just quit. No, they're not trying to make you. They're deadly serious. Just quit. If you all quit now, that's what they said to us. If you all quit now, we can go home. Quit. Go and see a movie. Go down to the home of Ben and Jerry's, which is up in Vermont. Go to the home of Ben and Jerry's and enjoy that. Go and have a nice picnic. Go and walk up Mount Killington. Go and do something else. Just don't do Death Race. Just quit.
So and are they just consistently in your head the whole time?
Consistently. If nothing else, there is very little that's consistent about Death Race, except that they'll be in your head going, just quit.
Yeah.
And it's already starting for Death Race next year.
Yeah, awesome. And just, I was just trying to find this photo, which is another one you sent me, and I've just managed to find it and get it up on screen, but that's just giving you a bit of an idea.
That's 160 of us. That guy up sitting there is Norm Coke, who is the original F Norm.
So he was the original race director?
He's the original race director for Spartan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so people will remember F Norm, and there's patches. I've got an F Norm patch here somewhere.
Does F stand for what I think it stands for?
It does, yeah.
Cool.
Designed some of the most horrendous courses.
Can we get some F Paul patches, mate?
I think there's been a few of those around, but it didn't quite take off quite as well as F Norm. But, Norm would actually put patches out on course, F-norm patches, and if you had found it, it was in a really bad spot, you'd actually get an F-norm patch from on course.
It's cool. It's like an Easter egg hunt. Some sort of demented Easter egg hunt.
It is definitely a demented Easter egg hunt, and he's the nicest guy. He really is a nice guy. I've had dinner with him a few times when I've been over there. So, nice bloke. But, he was, when we were coming down the other side of Bloodroot Mountain, and there was a guy in the group behind me who I heard say to Norm, okay, that's it, I'm done. I've had enough. I'm pulling a pin. I'm doing death. Here's my bib, right? So you actually have a bib for death race. And here's my bib. I'm done. He said, Norm's going, okay, fine, take your bib. All right. So where do I get picked up? And he says, you just got to walk down here a little bit further, and then when we get to the medics, then you'll be right to get a lift back. No problem. 15 miles later, get back. And this guy has had to traipse all the way down the single track, 15 mile, to get to where he could actually get a vehicle to take him back to the start to get his gear and go home. That's
rough, and that's like 25 Ks.
Yeah, it's like, and it was just, I could hear him back behind me going, so are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? And it was like, it was full light. It was like about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I think we got there at about 6 o'clock that night when we actually got to the area where he could pull the pin, and we had the medics.
So he had a 25K march after he DNF'd.
And that was awesome, and that is just synonymous with death race. It's like, it's not if you pull a pin now, you're going to have to walk another 25. It's okay, I'll take your bib. Yeah, you're done.
And do you know what they have in store for you in 2020?
Hell no.
I've heard some crazy things that they've done before, like 26 mile of like burpee broadside jumps and stuff like that, like just stupid shit, stuff that would take you like 20 hours to complete.
Absolutely. They've had 2 years ago when Ewan was there and got his skull. Ewan Camp was the very first Australian to ever get to finish death race, get a skull, and that guy is an absolute legend. And they had to do, I think it was 12 hours of pulling on a rope. So if you think of the Hercules hoist and pulling on a rope, this rope actually went through 2 pulleys. Right? Those pulleys it wasn't just like an easy pulley, it was hard work. So they were literally 12 hours of pulling on a rope.
That's rough. They've got one of those at the gym I train at, actually. They've got like a rope climbing machine, and you just fucking pull it through. 20 hours. 12 hours of that.
12 hours of that. There was also 12 hours, they did a Guinness Book of World Records crawl, barbed wire crawl, for 12 hours. How many laps of a 1 mile circuit could you do in 12 hours? Right?
Wow.
And that they had to crawl. They couldn't actually crawl on hands and knees. They had to actually leopard crawl. So it was
like army crawl type, elbows, knees out.
Yep. So there was that, and it wasn't real low like some of Paul's barbed wire crawls have been, but it wasn't high either. So it was. And I think the guy, I'm just trying to think, I can't think of the guy's name. I've listened to his podcast, who actually got the world record, but his back was just shredded.
Just from hitting the wire.
Just from the wire. It's like, if you just do 1 mile of it, that's bad enough.
Yeah.
But I think it was 26 miles.
There was a really long barbed wire crawl. It was before my time. It might have even been that 2013 race at Picton. That was like 500 fucking meters long, and people were spewing like.
Yeah, there was that. There was like you actually, and there was one the ultra. So the first ultra beast in Sydney, it actually went along and then did a dog leg and then another dog leg, and you couldn't see the dog legs because of the tall grass. So we're almost there, and then you go around the corner and around the next corner, and it's like, oh my god, yeah, people throwing up. Yeah. It was good.
Rough, right. So.
Yeah, people throwing up. Oh, yeah, it was good. It was good, yeah.
Where do I sign up? Yeah, we're a crazy breed. So, do you know what the completion rate is for Death Race? Do you know like how many people got through and got it done? Yeah, I would imagine.
Like, if you consider we started with 160 and we had 7.
Wow.
7
So that's
champions.
like...
So,
I can't even run those numbers. What's that, like 4%?
well, they know how many they want to finish. They'll just keep doing things until they're down to that number. You know.
Oh, they just keep bashing you until...
Yeah, they just keep saying, you know, they...
Maybe they just only get 7 fucking medals, mate.
Yeah, you carry this rock all the way to Shrek's cabin and back. And you get back and you're the first one. Okay, now I want you to carry 2. Now I want you to carry 3. It's like so Death Race 2015, we actually had this major storm come through on one night, and we were out there. So I didn't just I pulled the pin. I did my did a knee injury, and because it was soft tissue, they made me pull the pin. I couldn't. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't pull me. I wanted them to pull me. Please pull me from the race. I don't want to have to. No, you got to pull yourself from the race. And so I then went back hotel after about 24 hours and slept, cleaned up, food, water, and then went back out to support the rest of the guys who were still in the hunt for the race. And that I've actually got there's guys. I mean, people might actually know of a guy called David McGeeta, who is one of the compares on the Spartan channel, when they're actually live streaming the races.
Okay.
So yeah, this guy David McGeeta is like he's well known in the US, and a lot of people who watch the stuff. Well, that guy got through Death Race that year. I had said to him at one point, he was just standing there, he was hunched over. He had that much weight on him because he's got all this extra gear in his pack, plus he's got a massive rock. And I said, what do you need? He just said, I need shoes, I need a shirt, and I need coffee. So here you go. Took my shirt off. Said, here's your shirt. It's wool. And he put it on. It's wool. Just put this on and you'll be good to go. Gave him the shirt. He said, shoes. I said, next lap, when you do your next lap of this 1 mile that we're doing, you'll have new shoes and coffee. Hang on a minute. I've got the zip boil out, and I've got friends, American mates who will actually attest to this. I've got the zip boil out. I've thrown a buddy Robert Tim's coffee bag in, boiled it up, poured it out, and he's going to me, no, Bull, I don't drink tea. Shut up and just drink this, Dave. Yes. He drinks this, and all he's going, I want to have your baby. That's all he say. And then he hooked back in, and I went back to the hotel and got him a dry pair of shoes, the boots that I was wearing. Thanks very much, Max DeLacy. The Innovates that I was wearing, I had the spare pair, so I brought them out, and it was like, just helped him. I don't know whether that actually helped him finish the race, or he probably would have finished it without. But I'm sure that it gave him that lift.
It's the little things when you're fucking out there, like just even. I haven't done anything as crazy as a Death Race, but just like your 24 hours when it's 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, and you just get a warm, dry pair of shoes, even though you know they're going to be fucked in the next kilometre when you go back through a puddle. It's just putting that warm stuff on. It makes you feel just nice and cozy for a second, and that's all it takes to just bring you back to speed.
Yeah,
well, you literally gave the guy a shirt off your back.
Oh yeah, it was like I was wearing an icebreaker. I was wearing an icebreaker, like the wool stuff, because we were cold, we were wet, and it's like that's what kept us warm. That's what keeps you warm. So everybody looks at all this new materials and all that kind of stuff. And I looked at it and went, well, what's really going to keep me warm? Yeah, icebreaker stuff. It's Kiwi, and yes, in McDonald, Kiwi stuff is good, and it's New Zealand wool. Which is second only to Australian wool, but you've got this company that make this stuff, and it's all my stuff. I mean, that's icebreaker wool.
Where do you get it? Out of interest?
From Icebreaker.
So you got to buy direct.
Yeah, buy direct.
Do they retail anywhere? I usually just go to Anaconda. I usually get like the Mountain Design stuff.
There are a couple of Icebreaker stores. I think there's one in Sydney CBD, like outlet stores and that. But I go to like Paddy Palin and things like that as well, or get it online. So it's not cheap, but it's the stuff I rate.
I don't think any of us are in OCR because it's cheap.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing in OCR is cheap. So,
But I usually buy the Mountain Design stuff, and they're like $120 for a thermal, like a thermal top or thermal bottom. So it's not cheap, but I'd rather support a Kiwi company than Mountain Designs, which I think is American. Nothing against Americans, but give it to the Kiwis. They need as much help as they can get. So, mate,
I'm not going there.
So, mate, what's two pieces of advice that you would give to somebody who's, say, maybe thinks they have to work on their mental toughness? Maybe they see their mental strength as possibly a weak point in their performance. For somebody who wants to build resilience, what are the two things that you would recommend?
Okay, so I think number one is when you go out and you're training, if you do running or anything like that, when you're close to home or you think you're done, instead of taking that left turn to go home, take a right and just see where it leads you. And it's tricking yourself to go, okay, how, it's not like planning, okay, well, today I'm going to do 8Ks instead of 5. All right, so I'm going to turn here. It's going, okay, I'm going to do 5Ks. Yeah. And you go and you're about that thing. And instead of going left, you go right. And you just then, okay, now where am I going to go? Yeah. I'm going to follow this trail. And that leads me down here. And that leads me to a dead end. All right, now I'm going to go back. Yeah. All right, or it leads me to somewhere else. I've literally, when I was having, I was having a bad day, and I ran into work, and I took went down, and we've got there's a cross country trail, and I went to go left to go up to work, and I was carrying a pack, and I just turned right, and I've gone right, and that took me 15 k's, literally an extra 15 k's. That was definitely the long way to work, and I. On the phone, I rang work and said, "Okay, guys, going to be a little bit late. I'm out running," and they went, "Okay." So and it was just like I got that will pander to my eccentric whims. So it's not tricking yourself so much, but just. It's like when you turn up to a training session and people say, and you don't know what's coming, and then they go, "We're going to do this. We're just going to go and do stuff," and I want you to do things. But the other part to that is if you've got a training partner that you just say, "Okay, I want to come training with you, and I want you let's just do something different." My ocean swim instructor, Inez, she would. We'll just turn up to a location, and she'll go, "Okay, so we've been swimming. We've swum to Shelley from Manly before. Today we're just going to swim out that way, out towards New Zealand. Okay, sure. We just head towards New Zealand, and then it's like, so what's next?" And she'd go, "How about we go to Queenscliff?" And it's like, Queenscliff? That's all the way down. Like I run there. Like that's like It's a mile down the beach. Yeah. That's a mile. We've already swum like a mile, and you want me to swim to Queenscliff a mile and then swim back? Yeah, let's go.
That's like nearly a fucking Ironman swim.
Well, yeah. So it's just like, okay, if you've got someone who can actually, say, all right, we're going to do this today, and don't just put up and shut up, and just crack on and do it. So that's the thing, being able to go instead of going, "Oh, I don't feel like that today." It's like this morning, mental resilience. Right? My mental resilience has been down lately. It's like I've been that sleep deprived that it's I got a weekend, and it's like, I am sleeping late. I'm just going to sleep.
Recharge.
I'm not up at 4 or 5 to go training or anything like that because I need to sleep more. Mm-hmm. I get have access to like 2 or 3 hours sleep daily for months. So it's just like mental resilience is down. This morning I did not want to go out and train. Yep. So I did not want to go out and train, and I got up at 5 shaved, went into work, grabbed the battle rope, grabbed the tyre, put it in the car, I'm not going out to do anything. I might just go out there and sit on my phone, and I'll just drive out where I'm going to train, and I'll sit on my phone and I'll text on Facebook or I'll play solitaire or something. And got there, got out of the car, lashed the rope to the chain around the tyre, and then did this 2-mile session that I've actually got video of it, of me nearly throwing up. Like I'm talking on this, and it's like, whoa, don't you throw up. And it was like, and got back, and it's like you feel really good after it. And people say, you always feel good afterward, but it's that whole getting out there. So that's that resilience, it's...
Putting in the work when you don't feel like putting in the work.
Putting in the work when you don't feel like the work. Now, obviously, there are going to be times, like, so with my sleep deprivation, there's times where it's like I'm not putting in the work and my training has got shit because I need to sleep. It's like having to go, I consciously have gone, I'm not going to train because I need to sleep. Yeah. Your body will not regenerate unless you are actually getting some sleep.
And I think that's just not being a complete moron. You said you pulled out of death race because of an injury. Like there's times when it's the smart fucking thing to quit. Like we talk about never accepting defeat and never quitting, but sometimes that is the best case. Like your body needs to recharge. You can't just keep whipping it. You can't burn the candle at both ends forever because you'll deteriorate.
You can't. There are certain times you can actually go a long time. But at some point things will just start to break down.
And then sorry.
Yeah, and I mean, I've got to say about the injury in death race, I second guessed myself with that for weeks afterwards, and I had this stick, and it was actually called Stick, my stick, the stick, and I would every couple of days or so I'd be out walking using the stick as a crutch. When we were like, even when I got back to New York and that, and it was like, I'd go, you know what, I really should have just hardened the fuck up and just cracked on, and I throw the stick down and I take 2 steps and then I stop, and then I'm going, can you get the stick for me, please? Because it was in pain, and it's like, it just reminded me, you know what, I actually was in a lot of pain. I fell down a culvert in the road and smashed my knee really bad. And it was like I was crying because we were roped together. There was 10 of us roped together on this 100-foot of rope. So, and because I was going slow, I was slowing the group down, and the group was getting in the shit as you do at death race. The group wears it because of my being slow. And I could not have continued. I just could not have continued with that knee. So anyway. But my second point on building resilience, stretching yourself. And I have done that myself. When people look at it and go, well, why are you now carrying you're running elite. Back when I ran elite in Spartan race, you're running elite with sometimes a 35-kilo pack. Why? And it's like, well, I'm stretching my mental resilience because I'm starting at the front. There's photos of me and video of me starting running, sprinting for the first 20 metres, carrying a 35-kilo pack, and then you can see me almost throw the anchor out and stop. Yeah. And then right, well, I've had my rush of blood, and now I'm going to crack on. And that resilience to go, I'm just going to keep going, and just going out and seeing how far you could go. I actually did that this morning. I was going to only do a half mile, and because what I was doing, I was actually had this long battle rope attached to the tyre, and I would stand there, I would pull the tyre in, and then I'd throw the rope over my shoulder, run out, and then drag the tyre for about another 20 or 30 paces, and then I'd stop, turn around and pull the tyre in again, and then turn around and keep going, right? And I was only going to do it out to a certain turnaround point and just go back to the car. And that was only going to be it would have been about 20 minutes to half an hour, because I had some stuff on today, and I got to the turnaround point and I turned left. So it's that, again, it's that whole, pushing your boundaries and going, I'm just going to go and do something extra. And it ended up an hour later, I'm back nearly thrown up and felt bloody good, took fierce cars out and cut a log. And it's like, just doing something that extends you,
Yeah.
That's me.
And I think I think the amazing thing about Spartan and about the Hurricane Heats and stuff like that is you now have a format where you can do this without having to plan it yourself. Touching on the first point that you said, which I basically took to mean, plan for the unexpected, I guess, and give the reins to somebody else, because then you're not in control of the punishment. And that's exactly what you're doing in a hurricane heat, and that's, by design, the hazing that is to condition that, to get that mental toughness up. And they actually did a study. It's in a book. I was listening to it again for about the fifth time on my way to Melbourne. It's called How Bad Do You Want It, by a guy called Matt Fitzgerald, and they did a neuroscientist did a study, I think back in 2012, and it was basically, I can remember sort of the basic framework of this study, but it's the study of thwarted expectations, and there's this psychobiological model of basically how your body actually feels physiologically, and then how there's this emotional layer on top of that of how you feel about how you feel. And this is where we talk about that warm pair of shoes, or that warm shirt, or that coffee, or the running with headphones and having the music. These things that shouldn't really affect you physically, they do, because you mentally you feel better, so you feel better physically. They did this study on thwarted expectations, where they basically got these elite cyclists in, and they basically got one set of cyclists to do what they told them would be a 20-minute hard ride on the bike, and the other cyclists were told they were going to do a 10-minute hard ride on the bike, and throughout the course of the experiment, they were basically checking every 30 seconds on how they felt, what was their mental state, how happy were they feeling about the exercise. But basically, it was to feel out not necessarily how they were physically feeling, but how they were emotionally feeling, which does directly affect that physical layer. And what they found was the guys who had the 20 minutes, they sort of stayed pretty on par the whole time. They knew they had a 20-minute workout. It's not something unusual for an elite cyclist. The guys who did the 10-minute workout, right at the end of the 10 minutes, they were told they had another 10 minutes to go.
Yeah.
So they basically, these two groups did an identical ride, but what they found with the second group, with the thwarted expectations, that because they were told they had to do more work than what they'd originally planned for, they got fucking moody about it. They were grumpy, and as they felt worse and worse and got grumpier about it, their physical performance started to dip as well.
Yeah, we call that dislocation of expectations.
Exactly, thwarted expectations. So, and I think that's basically what you've summarised there, is put yourself in situations where you are going to have that happen to you repeatedly, and that's what's going to get you a bit tougher.
That and getting comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's I've had absolutely pouring here one night, and I'll just go, hey, it's like 11 o'clock at night. It's pouring, and I go, I think I'm going to go for a run. And I'll go for a run. I'll go into my training area that I got here, and I'll go out and I'll go for a run in sandals, with a headlamp, sometimes with a pack or not, usually with the axe. And it's like, okay, now I'm going to, up this trail here, I'm going to leopard crawl for 50 metres. Yeah. And it's like, why? Because it's all muddy, and it's like, I'm uncomfortable. Or, there's a pond here, I'm actually going to cross through the pond.
Yeah.
And it's, you get comfortable being uncomfortable constantly. Everybody says, well, why do you keep carrying a log? Or, this. Because it's fucking uncomfortable. That log, it cracks me in the side of the head all the time, and then come the third day, it's like, holy fuck, it's just digging in the shoulder, and, then you'll turn around, and next day you'll go, fuck it, I've got to carry that log the whole run, I've got to carry it in front of me. Oh my God, that is so uncomfortable. At one point there, I whacked myself in the nuts with the bloody end of the log. I'm going, oh no! And then you'd pull up higher, and then it was getting in the way of my head, and it's like, why am I doing this? And it's like training myself to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yep.
Because you don't know what they're going to throw you at any race, let alone just race or anything else. So
it's where the most growth is, mate. Nothing good happens in your comfort zone. When you get out of your comfort zone, when you push, and that was the second point, was keep stretching your limits. You know, when you keep pushing, that's when you get the most growth. That's when you learn the most about yourself. And fuck, I do the same. You know, I run in that armour. Run city to surf in a metal armour. The fucking thing chafes me. I'm bleeding everywhere. My head's bruised from that helmet on the weekend. And it's exactly the same. You know, if I can run around Melbourne on a 22-degree day with armour strapped to me that is really, really fucking uncomfortable, then I've got that reference point for that pain later on when I'm in a 24-hour race and I want to quit. I can think, well, I fucking did that stuff that was stupid, you know, and that was voluntary, so I can live through this.
It was stupid, but you know, because
it's my calling card.
Brain damage. Just all that helmet bashing. There's a bit of brain damage there, so you got to keep doing it.
I've got like dents in the back of my skull.
Yeah, well, you think of the Romans and the Greeks actually would have, and you could tell a Roman because he would actually have an indentation where his helmet sat.
Yeah,
you know, on his forehead, and you could tell he was a Roman soldier because, you know, even when he was not wearing his helmet, because you could see the indentation that was pressed. Yeah. So
it's not much fun, but it gives you a reference point, right?
Yeah, but it is fun. It is fun. Yeah. Unless you don't think it's fun, and then, well, maybe you just need to think it's fun.
Yeah.
Change your paradigm. Change your point of reference.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And look, hey, you know, when you talked about, you know, why, what's the catalyst for doing all this? It's like, well, because I can. It's like I could be dead. I should be dead. You know, after that car accident, I should have been dead. Yeah. And it was like, well, I'm out of the wheelchair. Doctors said, hey, you will never walk again. You'll be in a wheelchair for the rest of your life. And it was, I basically said, well, if I'm going to be in a wheelchair for the rest of my life, it's going to be a short fucking life because I'll be topping myself. Yeah. You know, because I'm not, you know, that's just not the way I do things. Yeah. And it was, you know, that was one of the things that got me through. Was
I didn't know that about you. I didn't know the car crash story and the wheelchair.
See, and that's the thing. Most people look at me now, they just go, "Oh yeah, you're just an old overweight bloke," and it's like, "Yeah, dude, you just don't have any idea." But this is something that we don't know about anybody who's going onto a course. You know, that's something that I find on the races is that you get people from such a diverse background that are these people actually, you know, what's their background? What are they fighting? You know, what, you know, to, you know, what are they actually fighting something to actually be able to do this? What's their background? How hard has it been for them to actually get there, to do a 5K and to climb over a 2-foot wall, you know, or to do a burpee? You know, everybody goes, you know, I've seen people who get rabid about the opens about, do your burpees, you do 30 burpees. And for some people, doing 5 burpees is expending more energy than elite doing their 30 burpees.
Yep.
And it's like, you've paid the burpee gods, the Spartan gods, so crack on, you know? Yeah, I know you've only done 5 burpees, move on because you were awesome doing that, you know?
Yeah, and it is such an unbelievable collection. One of the things I love about this sport is I will just go out and run on my own, and it's not happening as much nowadays as I do the fun runs and people run with me. But I used to love just getting out on a course on my own and meeting people and finding out, you know, how did you get into this? What is your story? And you hear so many things, like so many people who have recovered from injuries or have come out of oppressive relationships or have been in jobs they fucking hated for 20 years and did their first race and it's been completely life-changing. They've gotten out of their comfort zone on a course and they've just pushed further and further, and it's just transformed the rest of their life as well, which is just unbelievable. And it's such a big thing with the US are huge on it with their soldiers who get injured in the line of duty and stuff like that, is pushing them into endurance sports, because it's now not focusing on the injury or the disability that you've got, but focusing on what you can now do. Focusing on what you can do, not what you can't do.
And also showing those around you who are able-bodied but unwilling to go out and do stuff that, hey, dude, I can do this. And that was a big thing when I first went to Vermont, because, it's most people don't realise I was the first Australian to go and do the Ultra Beast in Vermont.
Wow.
And I went over there with Alex, a friend of mine. We both went. We signed up, on differently, but we ended up going and travelling together. So we were the first Australians to do the Ultra Beast. Australians had been over there. We've been running the Beast. You had Deanna and Jason, and there was Brendan and all those guys had been over there. They'd been running the world champs course over in Killington for a few years, but nobody had done those. Well, that's crazy. Who's going to go and do an Ultra Beast in Vermont? That's just insane. And I went, well, that's me, so I might go and do it.
Yeah.
And you do that, and then suddenly you've got people going, oh my god, I could, if that old guy can do it, I can bloody do it. I'm going to go and do that. I'm going to show him, and that's what we started doing. Same with Death Race. Yeah. Australians are going, I don't want to go all the way over to the US and do this. Nobody knows anything about it, because back then it was very little was known about it. But don't do it. And it's like, hey, that's right up my alley. I don't know anything about it. I don't want to know anything about it. I'm just going to go and do it. And that was the thing that after my DNF, in my first DNF in Vermont, I was devastated, like absolutely devastated. It was, I think, 15 hours on course and still didn't finish. Up on the mountain. And it was my mate Taylor, and he basically said, look, dude, every morning I wake up and I look up on the wall and I can see my wife has got a buckle, and I'll never have it, because he got cut just after she got through, like she was the last one through. And and it was like missed the tack, and it was like, I didn't get it, she got it. I will never have one, because he's not going to go back and do it. He said, so let's crack on and let's do Death Race. And it was wow. And I just went, hey, yeah, let's crack on and do it.
Okay.
I said, okay, but what's Death Race? And he went, okay, sign up and let's go do it. I went, okay.
So he got you to sign up before you knew anything. So it was a stitch up.
Well, pretty much. But then 2015 went and did Death Race. That was all over. Got back to Boston after the race, and I was looking on Facebook, and I saw this thing called Survival Run. Oh yeah, so Chief and Emma running Survival Run Australia. What's that? I don't know. That's this year. I'm going to go and do it. So it's like, yeah, went and did it, and again had no idea. But it's like, I don't care. Let's just go and do it.
Yeah.
What's the worst going to happen? I could die. What's
the second worst?
I've lived. I'd rather live my life on my feet. I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees. So and
that's
then 2016 nearly did die with that snake. So, but yeah.
Mate, it's absolutely awesome. And Death Race is on my list. Do you know if they're going to continue it? Do you know if it's going to keep happening?
At this stage, it's still going on. So but there's a podcast out by mate, I'll send you the details. I can't think of it at the moment, cool. But there's a podcast about the legends of the Death Race.
Okay.
And it's being run by the podcast is by a guy who's run a couple of death races back in the what are considered the old guard. So I'm considered one of the old guard. So that's the old death race before they came back last year and this year. So so he's actually had a bunch of people come on who are legends in the death race and talk to them, like what we're doing here now, about their death race experience and that. And right across the board, they all say, get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's one of the big things.
Yeah.
And don't quit.
Don't quit, even if they tell you to.
Yeah, well, Don Devaney is one of the race directors, and he's an endurance legend himself. He's
Yeah, I know the name.
Yeah, he's already said to me, "Hey, Bull, you're on my dance card."
When's the 2020 race? It's June or something, is it not?
About July the 12th. It is. I think it kicks off July the 12th. So yeah. So I've got it's a little bit of time to go between now and then, but in terms of death race, it's not a lot of time.
Yeah.
So it's I don't have what I consider the physicality to get through, because some of it's like, hey, we're going to do 3,000 burpees. It's like, that's okay. I know I can do 3,000 burpees. I've done 3,000, but it's slow and it's ugly. Like, you want to see some ugly burpees, you watch me do some real, those kind of burpees.
Mate, if you want to see ugly burpees, watch the end of my 30 burpees when I fail a fucking obstacle, let alone 3,000.
Oh, yeah.
I had to do 30 at Melbourne in the full Spartan armour when I fell off the balance beam because I couldn't fucking see him because my helmet's on and I just had a blind spot. So I just went, oh, there's the beam, okay, walk, fall off. And I had to do 30 burpees in that thing, and that was terrible.
Yeah, awesome. I'm going to do an obstacle, but here, just to make it a little bit more difficult, I'm going to blindfold myself.
Pretty much. Yeah, so 3,000.
Well, that was the warm up when Joan says, okay, well, we can't actually start something like this without a warm up, so keep your packs on, do 3,000 burpees, count them out. And it was ugly. I just thought, I looked around everybody else and went, I can't do 3,000. This is 2015. I cannot do 3,000 burpees with my pack on. You know what I can do? I can do 10. And I've just got to do 10, 300 times.
Cool.
But it's only 10, so I can't do 10, and that's it. So, and that was how we started. We got to I think we got to 300, and he said, okay, that's enough, let's go. So it's like...
okay, everyone's warm.
Whereas Ewan's group, I believe they actually did 3,000 burpees.
Wow.
So, but it's like, it's a lot of it is mind over matter. It's just like, how can I do this? I've had people on death race say, I'm pulling the pin now. Why? I'm not having fun anymore. It's like, dude, in the words of Patrick Myers, it's the motherfucking death race. So you're not here to have fun. You're here to suffer, because that's what you want to do. You want to see how far you can go.
Yeah.
And for you to just turn around and go, I'm not having fun anymore. What the fuck?
Yeah. You signed up to have fun?
Yeah. It's you're somebody who wants to see how much further they can go.
Yeah.
Am I able to do this? I mean, my biggest fear is getting there and being bumped in the first 5 minutes because of something nebulous like, oh, I didn't bring a 4B pencil. I only brought a 3B pencil. So you're now out. And that's the sort of stuff that you can get dumped out of death race for.
So the gear list is final. There's no interpretation.
Gear list is the gear list. And you never know. In my year, we had to bring a penny from. We had to bring a coin from the year of our birth and every 5 years after, right? So so you had to bring one of those all the way up to that. So here's me at 50 odd having to bring that many coins, and I had to go decimal. I had to go to coin collectors to find coin from the year of my birth, and it's like, no, not 1764 either. Gold doubloons.
You beat me.
To bring that, and it's like, that's great. And then it was like, so why did we need that? Just because? Yeah,
because we just wanted to fuck with you a bit. Yeah, well, we just wanted to see who was serious about this.
They also said things like, okay, you've got to bring a set of clothes you can wear to church.
Cool.
And it's like, so I'm going to say you bring something that you could wear that would be appropriate to wear to church.
Oh, fuck, you threw in appropriate.
And we actually had guys who were turning up and they actually took out a dress. Like, I may need to actually race in this, and so it's going to be easier to race in a dress than it is in a suit.
That's a good point.
That's what they did.
I have run in a dress. It's quite freeing.
Yeah, I've noticed, and there's something I can never unsee. So, yeah, but it was like, that was for the funeral. That was for the finishers who were buried.
Yeah, yeah.
And yes, they did get graves dug, and they did have coffins built, and they did get buried.
Wow.
They did actually dig them up later on, but
Yeah.
and when they dug them up,
they just leave them like with their heads exposed.
Yeah, no. They were actually they were under about a foot or two of dirt.
Oh wow.
And when they dug them up, they had worked it out that it was, there was enough air in there for that long and all that.
Fuck.
It was cradle to grave. It was it was the end, cradle to grave.
Yeah.
Life cradle to grave. And that was it. They went all the way to the grave and they buried these guys. And when they opened them up, they dug them up and opened them up. Every one of them was passed out. Not because they didn't have any oxygen, but they were just asleep. Because it was like, we're done. It's like,
nap time. Yeah, you don't DNF because you're not tired. So, nap time.
Yeah, no. Well, there are some people who, you got to keep awake because it was like 56 hours at that point. Yeah. And it's like, when you're going that long and that far, you actually, I'm going to have a kip. I'm going to have a 5-minute nap, and 5 hours later.
Yeah.
It's like bright on Saturday night. I went back to the hotel, back to my accommodation at 4 o'clock on the Saturday afternoon, and I was going to sleep until 5:30. So I could get a bit of sleep before the do on the Saturday night. Midnight, I opened my eye. I literally woke up to the alarm and went, okay, I need to get up, have a shower. I had a long blink, and there it was. So, Miss Kamala and Jethro were out the back still chained up going, hey, Dad, where's dinner? And it was like, just get in the car and come back to...
You just spent. And Big Diesel, he's still watching. He said, so true, Bull. Like when I did the 1 kilometre of burpees in the Spartan gear for charity a couple of times, he had to break it down into sets. And, that's usually how I get through shit like that too.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you can do 5 or 10 or whatever and... Okay, think about it, have a look around, But sometimes sometimes you're not allowed to look around. Sometimes you're just not allowed to stop.
Yeah. Well, I know in the 12-hour hurricane heat at Bryant, the first thing they did was take everyone's watches and everything, all the smartphones. They said anything that can tell time, throw in this fucking bucket here. So, and that's just a head fuck mind game. That is, I love it.
Exactly. Like, all I want to do is I want to see the sun come up. I just want to see the sun come up. I just want to see the sun come up. And if you actually see the time and you go, oh my God, it's still only 9 o'clock at night. No. Yeah. Cool.
So, mate, one last thing. We've been going for a while, and you've taken nearly 2 hours of your time to chat to us tonight with some awesome stories and hearing your origin and how you got started, mate. It's been amazing for everyone watching, and mate, we've had people who've been watching, I think, the whole time. So
those people are just crazy. Those people should go in that race because they are crazy. That's insane. People really have you people nothing better to do with your time.
They want to hear stories, mate. They're good stories. So, mate, one of the things that I've been asking everyone who comes on is the best race fail. What's the absolute funniest and not necessarily I fell over and snapped my knee. More like a funny fuck up. What's the funniest thing you've had go wrong during a race?
That was actually Geelong. That was the race before we had the first 12 hour. And I've literally come down, the first time I've ever rolled down the cargo net, right? So I've come rolling down the cargo net, not a problem. And I saw someone, I can't remember who it was, but I saw a mate, and they were just over there, and I've gone, and I've stood up as I've come out of it, and I've stood up going, yeah, how good was that? I've gone and stepped on the cargo net, taken another step, caught my foot, smack, straight on my face.
so you've cheered and then
gone, oh.
Just stacked it very, very publicly.
Very publicly, because everybody's going, hey, yeah, it was awesome, like, because I rolled down there. Yeah, you loser. Thank you.
That's awesome. All right, mate. Well, I'm just going through my questions, and I think we've pretty much covered everything.
Oh God. Okay,
mate. It's
there's always a cover, but yeah,
it's been
chapter 2.
It's been absolutely amazing talking to you, Bull, and sharing your stories and talking about Death Race and just all the war stories from OCR in Australia. And mate, I think the fact that so many people have hung around and watched 2 hours just shows how much you mean to a lot of people in the sport. So thank you for taking the time out of your evening for the chat. And if you've got nothing else.
Jethro and Kamala have just come in. They wanted to come and say hi.
Yeah.
So, hey, Kamala.
And,
yeah, they went, hey, Dad, we want to get back on the bed, thanks.
Yeah. It's getting cold outside. So Diesel's just said thanks, Bull Spartan WHI, which stands for
War Horses Inc.
That's the one.
That's it. Yeah, you know it, mate. Yeah.
And
old, yeah. Old, but you can't keep us down.
Yeah, keep going. And Harvey Nutt said thanks, Bull. Dana Binks said great stuff, Bull. So a couple of guys saying thanks, and mate, and I'll say thank you again. Thank you for taking. Sorry, mate.
Is that Dana? Did you say that was Deanna Blegg?
No, Dana Bink.
Oh, okay, yeah, cool.
I haven't met Deanna yet. I friended her on Facebook the other day. I haven't met her yet, but I do need to get some Blegg mitts, so I might.
Yeah, there you
go.
go. They are gold, mate. They're gold.
Yeah. Awesome, mate. So thanks, buddy.
All right, no problem. Anytime.
You enjoy the rest of your night.
Oh yes, mate. I've got to go and do a bit of work now.
Perfect. And I'll see you soon, buddy.
All right. Thanks, mate.
Thanks,
Bye.
Mate.